Well, hello to my trainees. Mwah, mwah, mwah. It's Natalie and Heartsy. Heartsy. And I wanted to do a little creative quest. That's what I'm going to call it, a creative quest. I was thinking about spirituality. I had clients ask me about spirituality. And I can share with you for myself, really looking at hope, love, compassion. I believe in God, angels. But whatever the higher power is for you, my husband's an atheist, and he believes in love. And he believes in angels because he's now lived with me for long enough to be like, okay, I'm seeing it. But to believe in, maybe just whatever it is spiritually. To be in spirit. I remember listening to this gentleman talking about in spirit, inspired. So maybe we can look at it that way too. What's inspiring for you? How do you find inspiration? Is it in yourself? Is it in a person? Is it in a thing? What does that look like to you? So maybe consider this. Consider ways that you can describe your charge. And now in the training program, we've all talked about undercharge, overcharge, discharge, right? So to find a way to charge up, right? Even if we take our hands, rub them together, you can really charge up your hands, right? And then you can feel the tingles, right? Or you can pump the blood in, right? And then sometimes you ever felt like your hands were just like, so you have to kind of clap them out to shake out that charge. And so then trying to describe your charge and how it's inspired by inspiration through spirit. What's your spiritual practice? Well, some people might say, I go to church, I read, scripture, I go to temple, I go to mosque, I go to a place of worship. Okay. So for me, I come to my place of worship, worshiping my place. That's what I call spa when I say spa, chakra, wellness. And people say, well, you don't really have a spa right now. Oh, but the reason I was always moved towards spa is spa in the original term was a place, a location, the ground, rich, nourishing earth. So now we come to the root chakra, the ground, rich, nourishing earth. The ground, your being. And in moving our home not that long ago, a year now this week actually, being uprooted and then having to reground, it was a lot harder than I thought. And I needed daily practice. So how do you find your inspiration? And so we could talk about something I learned that's really, super fun and a little woo-woo, and I love it, is talking about ways in which we have other sense, outside of ourselves. So they talk about clairvoyance, someone who can see what's not there. Or maybe clairsense, someone who can sense something, even though no one's touching you. Clairvisual, clairaudio, when you can hear. So clairsentience, clairvoyance, clairvisual, all-seeing, clairaudience, hearing. And then there's this fun one that Tom and Halea from the Healing Arts Sanctuary in Amherst taught me this one. Claire Pretend. So I really like that one. As a mental health professional, as well as they are as well, I was like, okay, this is like, I know I kind of have my own senses, right? Like the ones we don't really talk about, but we're here. Am I going to want to share this? Like what's going on? And they talked about Claire Pretend. So Claire Pretend is, if you could see, what would you say you saw? If you could hear, what would you be hearing? If you could know, what would it be? if you could feel or sense, kind of that like chills that you get, what would that be? So that's my assignment. My assignment for you to try in this creative play is, what are you sensing? What are you feeling? How do you come here? Finding and learning places. And then thinking, what if that was real? What if that was something? So this is the beginning places of learning about our senses, about our spirituality, ways that we are in spirit, inspired, and taking a religious sense out of it, all those pieces, and I'm saying that just to be open for everybody, as I say also, I've always really believed in higher powers, higher beings, and God and angels. I did. I always have. That's my truth. And, you married someone, right, who believes in the Big Bang Theory, doesn't want to have those conversations. So before we got married, we had to kind of figure out, well, what are we going to do? So we both decided we can believe in love. And that has really carried us through about 30 years of a relationship together. So I'll take those odds. It's pretty great. I'll thank love for that. So the ways that I find I get inspired is through creation. I've loved making my trainings. I've loved making all of these different ways in which I hope I help people. I like to sing. I like to move. I like to talk. I know you've heard me talk quite a bit. I like to practice exercise. I like to practice kindness. I like to reach out, lean down, lift up. What I really struggle with is asking for help, asking for support, but less now that I've practiced it more. So when I first did this work, I was asked, what's your energy source? And for me, it's always the ocean. And at times it was really hard and struggling. I felt as if I would be overwhelmed by the ocean. The ocean can be deadly, dangerous, if I let all my feelings out at once. So I had to find different ways to come in, slowly dripping out pieces of blocked energy so I could have more life force for myself. So I'm going to ask you to look at the sheets that I've sent you, the ones that have the daily tidbits and check-ins. And so we have the ground, the practice of getting into your ground, facing a fear. And the second, the right to your own needs, asking for a need, pushing back guilt, or stepping through along with your guilt and saying it's okay to have a need. And then here in our solar plexus, the right to our own power. So I've been working on being brave with hope. Not powering over, even though I work an awful lot on fighting that. And not being powered over, that too, very hard. But to notice here, how do you stand in your own power? And then coming to the heart, the right to self-love. In grief, moving through self-love. Here, the right to true seeing, the right to your vision and how you see it. And then not being moved by creating illusions, pushing it away, fogging down. And then in the crown, the right to universal knowledge, bringing that in, all of it. And so in the daily check-ins, I want to ask you to come and practice every day, all 7. All 7. Because we can do it like this. So I'll show it with you right now today. It is, it's about 11 o'clock here on Wednesday. The right to face my fear. Well, I just talked about God on camera. That's a fear. Knocking down God or this or that, or not being Catholic enough, because we all know that's true. For me, no, right? But I could still say I believe in God and I believe in angels. That's really scary. People might be like, click, send, no thank you. But now, as I stand with myself, I move up to facing that fear and now coming into the right to my own self needs. Well, my need, I I took a little extra time this morning to close my eyes and take a little cat nap. Maybe it was even like just 10 minutes, but I just stopped and pushed everything else aside, and I had to close my eyes. I didn't get a great night's sleep last night, and I knew I needed it. I had a little guilt, you know, and then I just did it anyway. And then when I woke up, really the right to my own power was really there. I could see it. I got this like hit. I relaxed. I sensed, power in bravery, in hope, in risk, in leadership. And I popped right out, ready, activated. And then I just started listening and creating. Now I come into the right to self-love. I took a few extra minutes and I put on this necklace that means so much to me from a friend that I love so much. It really helped me in a time that was really, really hard for me. I showed some spots to this friend that I've shown very few people in my life. I didn't even know, actually. She was the first person to see something I didn't even know was going on with me. And I felt like I took a moment, just that little extra moment to put that necklace on. Sometimes it takes just an extra moment, and then the gift all day is there. I took time for me. Coming up to the right to my own vision, moving past illusion. Well, I just decided I would sit here, make this video, and I would bring in some of that universal knowledge. And I did that by pulling this support card. And I made a video about this earlier for YouTube, but you see that purple universal knowledge angel bending down and hoisting up that right to self-love green chakra over that wall. This little, I always pictured it, I was saying, like an Irish little wall. They're sneaking out and they're climbing over. Who knows? What are they going to do on the other side of that wall? Maybe they're not really sneaking out. Maybe they're going over to pick a beautiful bouquet of flowers for somebody that might have just lost somebody. My aunt passed away last week. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're going over there to milk cows and help the cows. Maybe they're going, maybe they are skipping out of school and they're running to go get an ice cream bar, candy. I love whatever they're doing because what I see is somebody's saying, I need some help, and the other's saying, I got you. Or maybe one is saying, you need some help, let me lift you. And the other one is actually saying, okay, you're right. I need help. I can't get over that fence alone. And then maybe once she gets to the top of it, she reaches down and she pulls the angel up. And then together they hop. Maybe on the other side of that, there's a whole orphanage of children needing some extra angel love. Maybe it's adults and their little children inside them needing a little extra love because right now so much of their love is being given out to others. Maybe there's anything on the other side of that. So I'm just going to ask us, let's just practice facing a fear, asking for a need, standing in the right to your own sun, your own power for you, the right to your own self-love, speaking your truth. I missed that one. Oh my gosh, isn't that so interesting? So let's go back. Speaking your truth. Shadows lies. And so here, I speak my truth by saying, do you see how even as a teacher, workshop leader, I lose myself sometimes? Speaking my truth. Shadow lies. You've all trained with me, so I know you all know, oh yeah, that's totally yours, right? But here you are in co-regulation with me, and you just lifted me up so I could get over that fence. I didn't plan that. That's the angels. But I caught myself here. And I want to say thank you. I want to ask you to practice this. And then I think of Bruce Lee at the end of this, right? Bruce Lee says, I fear not the person who practices 1,000 different kicks, but I fear the person who practices one kick 1,000 times. So I often come back to similar concepts. I just shift them around and move them. I've been trained. I'm very fortunate that I've learned that. And it really encompasses all of the different work I've done. And even here, for me, to lose the right to speak my truth, right? Shadow lies. You know my story. This is a lot where my block is. And I can speak so much to help others and to come back for me. And so I think that's why it's really important for me to make these videos and be creative and share my vulnerability and my truth. And to be bravery and take that risk. To be bravery. To be in and brave. So I want to ask you, could you practice these 7 daily habits? I whip through them right now with you, and it's 11 o'clock, and I was up around 6, and so in 4 hours I was able to do these. We can do it. And if it is even at the end of your day, when you're drifting off to sleep, stop and take a second and recollect yourself. Walk back through your day and find the places, the 7 places. And if you found, oh, I didn't do it, go to sleep and begin again the next day. And I'll be here. I hope you'll give it a try. And if you'd like to, reach out. I'd like to hear how you're doing. Namaste. Mwah.